Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The time at which something is supposed to begin. Serving to begin. The beginning canto of the poem. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The place where something begins, where it springs into being. The Italian beginning of the Renaissance. The act of starting something. He was responsible for the beginning of negotiations. The event consisting of the start of something. The beginning of the war. The first part or section of something. It was a dark and stormy night, is a hackneyed beginning for a story. The time at which something is supposed to begin. An academic exercise in which diplomas are conferred. The act of starting something. The fielding position of the player on a baseball team who is stationed at first of the bases in the infield, counting counterclockwise from home plate. Indicating the beginning unit in a series. Serving to set in motion. His first, or maiden, speech in Congress. Serving to begin. The first verse. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Ranking above all others. Was first in her class. Prominently forward. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. The first element in a countable series. The first of the month. Before anything else. First we must consider the garter snake. The first or highest in an ordering or series. He wanted to be the first. An honors degree of the highest class. Highest in pitch or chief among parts or voices or instruments or orchestra sections. First soprano. Preceding all others in time or space or degree. The first house on the right. The time at which something is supposed to begin. She knew from the get-go that he was the man for her. The time at which something is supposed to begin. A start given to contestants. I was there with my parents at the kickoff. Football. A kick from the center of the field to start a football game or to resume it after a score. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Make up for. His skills offset his opponent's superior strength. A natural consequence of development. Structure where a wall or building narrows abruptly. Compensate for or counterbalance. Offset deposits and withdrawals. A plate makes an inked impression on a rubber blanketed cylinder, which in turn transfers it to the paper. A compensating equivalent. A horizontal branch from the base of plant that produces new plants from buds at its tips. Cause, printed matter, to transfer or smear onto another surface. Create an offset in. Offset a wall. Produce by offset printing. Offset the conference proceedings. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Get off the ground. Who started this company? Bulge outward. The time at which something is supposed to begin. They got an early start. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Start a new job. Get going or set in motion. We simply could not start the engine. A line indicating the location of the start of a race or a game. Have a beginning, in a temporal, spatial, or evaluative sense. Prices for these homes start at $250,000. A signal to begin, as in a race. The starting signal was a green light. Bring into being. A turn to be a starter, in a game at the beginning. He got his start because one of the regular pitchers was in the hospital. Set in motion, cause to start. The U.S. started a war in the Middle East. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Who will start? Begin an event that is implied and limited by the nature or inherent function of the direct object. She started the soup while it was still hot. A sudden involuntary movement. He awoke with a start. Begin or set in motion. I start at 8 in the morning. Have a beginning characterized in some specified way. Leave. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. She startled when I walked into the room. The advantage gained by beginning early, as in a race. With an hour's start he will be hard to catch. The act of starting something. Play in the starting lineup. The beginning of anything. It was off to a good start. The time at which something is supposed to begin. An instant of time. Be oriented. The weather vane points north. Sail close to the wind. Repair the joints of bricks. Point a chimney. Any of 32 horizontal directions indicated on the card of a compass. He checked the point on his compass. Be a signal for or a symptom of. Her behavior points to a severe neurosis. A specific identifiable position in a continuum or series or especially in a process. A distinct part that can be specified separately in a group of things that could be enumerated on a list. The main point on the agenda was taken up first. An outstanding characteristic. His acting was one of the high points of the movie. A V shape. The cannibal's teeth were filed to sharp points. A contact in the distributor. As the rotor turns, its projecting arm contacts them and current flows to the spark plugs. The dot at the left of a decimal fraction. Direct into a position for use. Point a gun. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. He pointed to the empty parking space. The property of a shape that tapers to a sharp tip. The gun muzzle's direction. He held me up at the point of a gun. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. The point of the arrow was due north. An isolated fact that is considered separately from the whole. A point of information. A wall socket. An instant of time. At that point I had to leave. A very small circular shape. A row of points. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Give a point to. intend, something, to move towards a certain goal. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A brief version of the essential meaning of something. Get to the point. A distinguishing or individuating characteristic. He knows my bad points as well as my good points. A geometric element that has position but no extension. A point is defined by its coordinates. A linear unit used to measure the size of type, approximately 1/72 inch. A promontory extending out into a large body of water. They sailed south around the point. A style in speech or writing that arrests attention and has a penetrating or convincing quality or effect. Be positionable in a specified manner. The gun points with ease. Indicate the presence of game by standing and pointing with the muzzle. The dog pointed the dead duck. Mark, a psalm text, to indicate the points at which the music changes. Mark, Hebrew words, with diacritics. Mark with diacritics. Point the letter. 1% of the total principal of a loan. It is paid at the time the loan is made and is independent of the interest on the loan. Sharp end. He stuck the point of the knife into a tree. The object of an activity. What is the point of discussing it? The precise location of something, a spatially limited location. She walked to a point where she could survey the whole street. The unit of counting in scoring a game or contest. He scored 20 points in the first half. Beginning to exist or to be apparent. It is designed to arrest monopolies in their incipiency. Earliest limiting point. Earliest limiting point. The process of giving birth. The event of being born. They celebrated the birth of their first child. The kinship relation of an offspring to the parents. Cause to be born. A baby born, an offspring. The overall rate of incidence of Down syndrome is 1 in every 800 births. The time when something begins, especially life. They divorced after the birth of the child. The sill of a door. A horizontal piece of wood or stone that forms the bottom of a doorway and offers support when passing through a doorway. The entrance, the space in a wall, through which you enter or leave a room or building. The space that a door can close. The smallest detectable sensation. A region marking a boundary. The starting point for a new state or experience. On the threshold of manhood. Beginning to exist or to be apparent. He placed the incipience of democratic faith at around 1850.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.